on this computer. Hello, my beautiful love. So welcome officially to the mini up level masterclass. I'm so excited for you guys to be here today. Wet this palette of mine. So for those of you guys that know me and Melissa, my sister, is actually in town right now. For the last 2 weeks, we've been doing so many amazing things, including recording for a documentary that we are releasing. It's sort of like documentary slash reality TV show. So we've been talking a lot and my voice is feeling it. So thank you guys so much for being here today. I know that we have a mix of people in the room today. We have, hi Judy. So we have a bunch of people that are in, I would say, my world. They are my friends, my clients, people who have taken this class before. And then we also have Melissa's world kind of like merging in with us. This was a dual thing that we decided to host. And so I wanted to take a minute to just welcome you guys and sort of share with you guys the story of how I ended up here and where Up Level stemmed from. So for those of you guys that have taken this course before, welcome back. Hi, Wendy. I see a bunch of people joining. If you guys have taken this class before and you want to go ahead and leave some info in the comments about your experience, I would love to have that going on while I share. So again, my name is Sarah, and I was your typical goody two-shoe growing up, where my lovely sister Melissa was sort of the one that pushed back. I was always the one that just fell in line. So I was really good at doing everything that everybody else said that I should be doing in order to win or to succeed or to be on top. So I did really well in my classes. I often had perfect attendance. I was really striving to get an academic scholarship because I really felt like that's where I thrived. So I did that, got the academic scholarship, went into college, immediately went into corporate America while still in college. I was applying for every, leadership position that they had available. I was getting those positions. I was making more money than my friends. I had this beautiful house. I ended up getting married. When I tell you that I was literally crossing things off of the list that people say, if you can achieve this list, you will be happy in life and everything will be golden, I was doing that. I was literally doing that, checking these things off this list and thinking like, hey, I'm winning at life because I'm accomplishing all of these things. And let me tell you where that got me. That got me to complete misery. That led me to 3 suicide attempts. I was constantly dealing with depression and just feeling the lows of our emotional guidance scale. It was just not a pretty sight. And so I had really struggled with my mental and my emotional health for the majority of my upbringing. And it was around the time that I was about 20, 27 or so years old that I realized that something needed to change. I was, from the outside looking in, I looked like I had everything together, but on the inside, I was just distraught. And I don't know if you guys can relate to that, but it's like everybody's looking at you and going, wow, you're so strong, or you're so accomplished, or you're doing all the things that I wish I could do. And you're hearing that and you're thinking, like, this should be making me happy. This should be making me feel satisfied. And yet I don't feel satisfied. And so I started down this road of self discovery. I was at this personal seminar or personal development seminar, and this person was speaking. To be honest, I don't even remember who it was that was speaking, but they shared a quote from Jim Rohn. And I don't know if you guys know who Jim Rohn is, but this quote was, everything you have, you've attracted to you by the person you've become. And I could remember, I have these moments. I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but I have these moments where I hear something or something comes into my experience and I hear this little voice from deep inside me that goes, pay attention, pay attention. And it's literally like my body lights up and almost tingles, and it's like, pay attention. And so I let that quote kind of sit with me. And at first it was very triggering. Everything I have, I've attracted to me. So you're telling me I've attracted abuse? So you're telling me I've attracted these poor situations, I've attracted these horrible relationships, I've attracted this betrayal inside of my friendships. Yeah, yeah, that's what that quote was saying. So I sat with it for a minute and I said, okay, well, if it's true that everything that I've attracted to myself, I've attracted to me by the person that I'm being, then wouldn't it also be true that who I decide to be, who I decide to show up as, will actually change what it is that I attract to myself? And so I started this journey of two things. I started this journey of really trying to understand this idea of law of attraction and how we are actually co-creating this life that we are living. And I also started to explore this idea of, who am I? Why do I do what I do? Why do I believe what I believe? And what I found was that these two things were very interconnected. Because in order to draw things into your experience, in order to be co creating and manifesting your world, you need two things: you need your focus and you need your belief. But I was living this life where I was focused on all the things that everybody else told me to focus on, and my belief was shitty. It was very easy for me to believe that bad things were going to happen to me. It wasn't easy for me to believe that things could be easy, or that I could be happy, or that there was joy outside of this list that I was so desperately trying to get through, hoping that happiness was going to be at the end once I accomplished all of these things. And so as I started to explore this, I started to make some changes. Now, the craziest thing about personal development work is you have to be unbiased about your own thoughts, experiences, and point of views. And who is more biased about what it is that you believe and what it is that you think about than you? And so this was very challenging for me. I want to make sure that I am, not making this seem like this journey is just all roses and butterflies, because we definitely get to that space. But there is this mourning that goes into looking at your life and realizing that it doesn't look the way that you want it to, because you've been co-creating a life that other people have told you you should want, instead of co-creating the life that you actually want. And so there was this kind of this dissolving of who I was. There was a lot of internal battle. There was a lot of internal conflict. But what I did was I stayed committed to showing up every single day and just continuing to be open to the people, the processes, and the teachings that were flowing into my experience, and trusting that because I was open and I was asking my creator to help me with this, that clarity was going to come. And so for years, I was delving into this work. We'll get more into this if you guys decide to go into the longer class, but I started to delve into things that I never, ever saw myself delving into. Being raised by a father who is very right winged, who is very Christian, very, very religious. Everything's got a very a structure to it. There was right and there was wrong. Being raised in a home like that, and now being out in the world where I'm starting to wonder, like, what other things are out there? What other perspectives are out there? Why is it that the experiences that I'm having are different than the way that my parents told me they were going to look? As I was exploring all of these things, I'm just gaining wisdom. And I want to talk about, there is a difference between knowledge and wisdom. So knowledge is education. It's an accumulation of information. And so right now, what you guys are doing is you guys are picking up knowledge from me. But when you take this knowledge and you implement it and you experience it, so that your mind, your body, and your soul can actually have the experience of this knowledge, you can start to gain wisdom. And so the one thing that I was very clear on is that I wanted to gain wisdom, not just knowledge. I didn't want to read all the books that everybody said to read just so I could say that I read them. I didn't want to be well read. I wanted to be well seasoned. I wanted to have experiences. I wanted to be able to say, because of what I have experienced out of life, I know this thing to be true. And so I really started focusing on implementing every single thing that my sacral, that my intuition was telling me to indulge in. And that led me to leaving my corporation, this place that I had worked for 9 years, where I had put all of my effort and energy into to prove to everybody at that company that I was someone, that I mattered, that I was deserving of this salary, that they shouldn't let me go every single time there was huge layoffs. I was putting so much effort into this job, and I was freaking great at what it was that I was doing. But I had finally decided, after 3 years of focusing on myself, that it was time for me to leave that job, because even though it had served me, it was no longer serving me. I had outgrown it. And it was one of the scariest things that I've ever had to do, was quit my job and start my own business, to become an entrepreneur and start to create the life that I wanted. And so I was putting this into practice. I was starting to see these results. I came across The Secret, this idea of manifestation, this idea of law of attraction, this idea that everything that you're experiencing in your world is simply a vibrational match to who you are being, what it is that you are embodying. And I started to take this really seriously. I started to think about, what do I need to embody? Who do I need to be in order to draw the life that I want to be living, the experience that I want to be living, the finances, the relationships, the friendships, the everything that I wanted to experience. How is it that I can embody that? And I was practicing this. And along the way, I left my corporate job. I ended up opening my own brick and mortar business, which, by the way, I manifested that entire business, open key, turnkey business with everything inside of it, probably $30,000 or $40,000 worth of equipment given to me. That's another story for another day. But I was seeing how much focusing on the energetic world, how much focusing on who we are as divine beings, how focusing on the ability of that we have to co-create, instead of just falling in line with whatever people were telling me I should want out of life. I noticed that as I was doing that, things started to change. And so what do we do when we get excited about something? What do we do when we're experiencing something? We share it with people. And so what was happening naturally was I was sharing what I was experiencing with the people who were around me and were in my circle. And at the time, this was my brick and mortar business that I had taken over. So for those of you that don't know about these brick and mortar businesses that I had, they were like, imagine like a healthy Starbucks, where people are coming in and people are congregating and people are sitting down and people are talking at the bar, but everything is healthy. And it's not Starbucks where like everybody's in the individual seats. It was more like an alcoholic bar where it had a 20-foot bar where people would just sit at the bar and they would talk to me, right? But it was all healthy things that I was serving. And then there was this little space that we had where we would do some workouts. So it was a brick and mortar that was dedicated to helping people to nourish their bodies and nourish their minds. And this was really important because I had discovered on my journey that how we take care of our mind and how we take care of our body is very important. And so as I was sitting there and I was talking to these people across the bar, all I'm doing is sharing with them what's going on. I'm sharing with them how I'm manifesting things in my life that I didn't think that I could manifest in the way that I was manifesting them, meaning I didn't have to pay for any of these things. Things were just sort of showing up in my life when I asked for them to come into my life. I started sharing with people about how I was approaching parenting differently than I did prior to me going on this journey. I was talking to people about how my relationship had changed, how I was showing up for my spouses differently than I did before. And so as I was sharing this stuff over the bar, people started to bring their things to me. Well, how would you do this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this situation? And so I started to give advice over the bar. I started to give these teachings over the bar about what it was that I was learning. And so it's so beautiful. It was actually my customers who gave me the idea to start Up Level. They said, is it possible for you to create a class where you teach us all this stuff? Because what I was noticing was these customers were sitting for hours. They would literally come in and they would sit for hours at the bar to hear what it was that I had to say. And I love to speak. I love to teach. I love to be on stage. I work for a nonprofit where I would go and I would speak to large groups. So this was nothing that I was new to. I loved speaking. I knew I loved speaking, but I never really knew what I should be talking about. And this was the first time that I had people that were like leaning in, like, we want to know more. It was like they were mesmerized. But the thing is, because it was a brick and mortar business that was open for business, while we were in conversation, somebody would come in and want a drink made, right? Somebody would come in and have questions. And so it was taking me away from what it was that I was offering to my customers. So they said, is there a way that you can design a class where that's all we're doing? We're not worried about people coming in and out, but like we actually get to sit here and just hear from you. So I sat down and I thought about, how have I made this change? How have I gone from somebody who had 3 suicide attempts, who questioned whether they even wanted to be on this planet, to somebody who is waking up every day, enjoying her life, seeing the things that she wants to experience seemingly just pop into her existence? Somebody who's joyful, excited to wake up every single morning. I was like, how did I actually get there? And so I sat down and I thought about the last 3 years. And I thought about, what was it that truly made the difference? Because if you've ever taken on a journey like this, you know that there are puzzle pieces that come into play that just don't even make sense. And somehow this whole picture comes together. And once you tell our creator, once you tell source, I am open to receiving what it is that I need to receive for me to heal. It just comes from everywhere. And so it was really hard at first for me to try, okay, do I have to tell them every single, and then there was this, and then there was this. And I got out of my head, and my guides told me, you need to explain to them what nobody has ever explained to you guys, what nobody explained to you, but changed everything. And this is what I'm going to share with you guys today. You are not who you think you are. You have been told from the moment that you were an itty bitty baby who you are, what you're good at, what you should be doing. You were conditioned to believe that there were certain things that were good, certain things that were bad, what was socially acceptable, how it is that you need, trust and feel the process. Yes. What it is that you need to do to be able to be successful. You've been told. You've created a mask. You've created this identity that you are living, and it's a combination of all sorts of things. It's a combination of your brain and how it's been conditioned to believe that the way that the world works and what your place is in it. It's also a combination of trauma. I was hurt, so let me make a conclusion about how I will be safe moving forward. So, for example, I have girlfriends who they've been heartbroken and they walk away from that thinking love is not real, every guy's a piece of shit, blah blah blah, right? And so those beliefs that they are carrying are a symptom of the trauma that they experience inside of this relationship. So we're walking around with all of these beliefs and all of these thoughts that are a result of the trauma. They are a result of conditioning. They are a result of what we have seen in our world. And so we've agreed to these things. We've just assumed that all of these things are real. And this is what's wild about this. The majority of people out there walking around on this planet don't like the current setup. They don't like the current system. They don't like the way that we are choosing to live our lives. They don't like this idea that you got to work your ass off from Monday through Friday. And when you get home, you're so exhausted. The only thing you can do is sit in front of the boob tube and watch what's on TV and relax. And then your weekend is full of stress and anxiety because you're getting ready for the week to start all over again. This was the cycle that I was living. And if you're young enough and your body can handle it, sometimes the weekends included a bunch of crazy activities like drinking all day or drinking all night or partying. So that Monday when you wake up, you're like, what the fuck did I do? That weekend just totally screwed me over. Now I'm starting off late for this week. And you get into this cycle of just sort of going through the motions. And yet people don't change it. They just sort of accept it. So the very first thing that I had to realize was that who I was being was a mask. It wasn't the true, authentic me. It wasn't the me that God had created and put on this planet. It wasn't the me that was connected to my mission and my purpose. It wasn't the me that knew that there was things that fulfilled me. It was the me that everybody else said I should be, so that I could have blah, blah, blah. So what do I mean by you're not the person that you think you are? Well, to bring this down a little bit smaller, oftentimes we think we are our minds and we think we are our emotions. So it's even in our verbiage. We'll say things like, I am mad. I am frustrated. Well, if you know anything about I am statements, they are affirming. So when you say I am mad, you've identified as being the thing that is upset, as opposed to us learning that we are not our bodies, we are not our minds, we are the soul that is residing in the body that has access to a tool called the mind, and that the body and the mind are here to support us in this experience as a human on this planet, but they are not us. And so when we say things like, I am an emotion, instead of I am experiencing an emotion, we tend to collapse who we are with what we are feeling. And when we do this with our mind, we don't say, my mind is thinking and reporting this information back to me. Instead, we go, I think. So again, we are collapsing us and our mind and thinking we are our mind. So now we become the emotional trauma that we feel, and we become the conditioned way that we are thinking. So this is how we become somebody who we were never meant to be. So the most important thing that I did was I started to pull these pieces apart. I am not my mind. I am the one absorbing what my mind is thinking. I am not my emotions. I am the one residing in a body that can feel emotions come into my experience. And once you start to pull these things apart, you can start to what I call get back in your seat as the driver. So you get to determine what your mind is thinking and how your body is operating to get you, the soul, where the soul needs to be in alignment with its purpose, with its mission, using the tools, the body and the mind to help you get there, to assist you in getting there, not becoming a prisoner to your body or a prisoner to your mind. So what I started teaching inside of this up level class was, how do we pull this apart? How do we start to see our mind differently than us? How do we start to see our emotions differently than the way that we've been taught to see them? So the very first thing that we talk about inside of this up level course is we talk about the reframing of our minds. And we get into some really cool things about the science of the mind. Like, for example, there's something called the cocktail effect. And the cocktail effect is something that I experience all the time now that I just had a little one. But the cocktail effect, the way that it works is that when you are in a room, and they call it the cocktail effect because this is like if you're at a cocktail party, and Penny, let's use you as an example. You're at this cocktail party, and everybody around you is talking. And it sounds like blah, 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 because there's a million people in the room that are having conversations. But somebody says Penny, and what does your brain do? It recognizes that sound. It says that sound is important because you have conditioned your brain, actually your parents conditioned your brain to know that the sound penny is important to you. So that is why you hear it. With my new baby, I used to be able to sleep through anything, literally anything. And now all of a sudden with the baby, the littlest coo, the littlest noise in the middle of the night, and I'm up looking because my brain has decided, I've conditioned it to think when you hear the baby making a noise, you need to get up. You can ignore all the other noises that are going to come up during the night, but this one is important. Now, the reason why understanding cocktail effect is important is because once you understand that your brain is this super program, it's like a computer, it creates its own Jarvis system, it's super powerful, and you start to recognize that when the brain has 30,000 things to look at any given moment, Hannah, right now, how many things are in front of you? How many things are there to look at? How many different smells are in the atmosphere? How many different sounds are happening outside of this room? There is so much data that your mind is bringing in, but it will filter it based on what you have told it is important. So if you are somebody who is constantly inundating your brain and programming it to look for the negative, to look for the things that aren't going right, to look for more evidence that I am stupid or I am fat or I can't do this or it's meant for someone else, it's not meant for me, right? Like if you've programmed your brain to look for those things, your brain will only see those things. And so it becomes very hard for us to start to see evidence that there is a reality outside of the reality that we have called into our experience. So one of the things that I teach inside of this class is how do we intentionally pay attention to what has been programmed into our Jarvis system? And just like a computer, if a virus is in there, we're saying no to this virus. Have you ever noticed that you'll think something, you will think something? See, I just did it because we're conditioned to say that. Have you ever noticed that you will have a thought, and once you have the thought, you have a thought about the thought? So you might go into the mirror and look at yourself, and the initial thought might be like, oh my God, like I'm 35 pounds heavier than I was when I got pregnant. So my first thought might be like, oh my God, am I getting chunky? And then you'll have a secondary thought that's like, you really shouldn't talk to yourself that way. Or a secondary thought that goes, yeah, this is probably why, your husband didn't take your advances last night. And then there may be another thought, and then another thought, right? And so as you can start to pull these thoughts apart, you can start to see that the initial thought is your brain giving you data And the secondary thought is what you actually have thought now that you've absorbed it. So when we start doing this work, we're pulling ourselves away from the mind, from the body, from the trauma, from the conditioning. We're pulling ourselves out of it and we're watching it like bird's eye view so that we can start to say, this is not serving me. This is serving me. This is not serving me. This is serving me. I'm going to increase the amount of exposure I have to the things that are serving me, so that you can start to rewire the brain to think in a way that is going to serve you and your mission and your purpose and what it is that you are trying to pull into your experience. Then the second piece of that, my favorite, is understanding emotion. So I want to share this with you guys, this concept. I wholeheartedly believe that we have a huge misconception about what emotions are. And I'm sharing this from a space of 3 suicide attempts, diagnosed as manic depressive, put on all sorts of things, antidepressants, anticonvulsants, to try and control and try and manipulate my emotions so that I'm not feeling overwhelmed by them. So I went from that to somebody understanding what emotions actually are and why they're here on the planet. And all of a sudden, no more depression episodes, no more crazy mood swings, no more needing to be on medication, no more needing to be hospitalized, no more needing to talk to the counselor about that. Like that, literally like that. The moment that I realized that it's just a misunderstanding of our emotions. So let me talk to you about what emotions are. I believe that the body speaks to us through physical sensation. I eat something I don't like the other day, I had a whole container of ice cream. I don't know what the hell happened. I used to be able to eat ice cream as a little kid, no problem. Now in my almost 40, I eat a carton of ice cream. I feel like my stomach is going to explode. I don't know if anybody else has that problem, but I ate the ice cream and my belly said no. My belly said, I don't feel good when I eat this. That's a sensation. That's the way that my body talks to me. I get a headache. My body's trying to tell me you didn't get enough water. I get a stuffy nose. My body's trying to tell me that it doesn't like the pollen that's in the air. It's trying to protect me, right? So your body talks to you through sensations. Now, your mind talks to you through thoughts, right? So we have all these thoughts that our brain or mind is producing and delivering to us. How does the soul talk to us? If the mind is talking to us through thoughts, and the body's talking to us through physical sensations, but they're not the ones that are supposed to be in charge. Sales said those are just tools. How does the thing that's actually in charge, how do I hear it? I believe that is what emotion is our higher self, our soul, trying to give us an indication of whether we are in alignment with who we were being called to be or not. When we feel good, we are in alignment. We are moving towards satisfaction. We are moving towards peace. We are moving towards success. We are in alignment with where we are meant to go. Whenever we are feeling discord, whenever we are feeling a poor emotion, that is our soul screaming at us, you're going the wrong way. Stop that. Stop that direction. Stop that thinking. Stop this relationship. It's screaming at us that something is not right. Well, what we have done is we've decided through society what to listen to and what to reject. So when our body says, please don't eat that ice cream, we have learned to reject that. I'm going to eat it anyways. Maybe I'll take this Tom. I'll take this Tom's and it will just help. I'll take this Gas X and that will help. But I'll still do the thing that my body is begging me not to do. Well, we do the same with our thoughts. We'll have negative thoughts that are not serving us. And instead of us saying, no, that thought is not serving me, it doesn't feel good to think that thought, I'm going to change that thought. Instead, we just give into the thought. Well, we do the same thing with our emotions. When the emotion comes and we don't like it, instead of us using that as an indicator that says, I am on the wrong road here, I am not in alignment with who I was called to be, let me move back into a space of satisfaction with my life. Instead, we just hang out there. We just sit in the negative emotion. So I want to give you guys this exercise. If you guys are old like me, you guys remember we used to have these boom boxes, right? And on the boom box, there used to be something called a tuner. Do you guys remember this? Like a little button that you would move. And all the tuner did was it tuned into a different frequency of airwaves, of radio waves. So when you think about a radio tower, this radio tower is emitting energy called a radio wave at all times. And every single station is emitting a radio wave. They are all available to us right now. But we need something that can pick up the radio wave. And that's what the boombox was. And then we needed a tuner on the boombox so that we can decide which radio wave do I want this boombox to pick up. And so if we slid, I'm in Arizona, so I'm gonna, you are young. I have a record player. Okay, so maybe I'm in the middle, right? I'll be 38 in July. Okay, so as we tune into, I'm going to use Arizona channels because I'm in Arizona, but if I were to tune into 99.9, I'm going to have some oldies. If I tune into 104.7, I'm going to have some hip hop. If I tune into 107.9, I'm going to have country. Every single one of those stations creates a different vibe, creates a different atmosphere, creates a different experience. What I am suggesting to you is that emotions are exactly the same. There is a very wide range of spectrum of energy available to you at any given moment. To clarify, the word emotion, the Latin derivative of this word, is energy in motion. When you are feeling an emotion, all it is you feeling the energy that you are sitting in. You are tuning into energy that exists around you, and that energy comes with a feeling. And so when you think about yourself as a radio or as a boombox, and you realize that around you is every emotion available, from powerlessness all the way to empowerment. It's all available to you, but that you are tuned into a specific energy, you start to, instead of getting down about the energy that you experience, you just change the fucking channel. That's all you have to do is change the channel. But we don't practice changing the channel. This is what we do. We feel the emotion, and then instead of us saying, this doesn't feel right, let me change the channel to what I actually want to be experiencing, instead what we do is we say, mind, why do I feel this energy right now? And because our mind was never taught what true emotion is, our mind goes, oh, it must be because. And then our mind comes up with every possible narrative and scenario that only reiterates and further tunes in to that emotion. And this keeps us stuck on this radio station. And it gives us the illusion that this radio station is the only thing that we have to listen to, when in reality, all we need to do is change the station. Now, sometimes changing the station is relatively easy. I'll give you an example. If I were to say, think of a time that makes you feel joy or excitement, could you not close your eyes and elicit that feeling? Could you not use your brain to pull into your experience a memory that you associate with joy and empowerment and bliss, or whatever the emotion is? Now, if I were to say, think of something that makes your blood boil, think of something that makes you so angry, so upset, so hurt, could you not pull an experience into the forefront of your mind and evoke that emotion? Sure you can. Sure you can. Then why, when we're sitting in emotion, instead of us pulling a different emotion into our experience, one that's in alignment with what we want to create, why do we default to the brain to try and figure out a narrative as to why that emotion is there in the first place, only furthering the invitation for that emotion to stay? Think about any other sense that you have. If I hear something I don't like, I just don't listen to it anymore. If I smell something I don't care for, I'm not going to use that perfume. If I take a bite of something somebody made me and I don't like that taste, I'm not going to have that dish anymore. I don't make a story. I don't turn it into a narrative. I don't associate it with my worth or my value. It's just an experience. Why aren't we doing the same thing with our emotions? Why are we becoming prisoners to our emotions and making them determine how it is that we are experiencing life and how it is that we are feeling? Once you start to learn the tools that I teach inside of this class to not only reframe your mind to be thinking thoughts that serve you, to believe things that support the life that you want to manifest, and also how to process the emotions that you don't care for and how to tune into the emotions that you do want to call forth into your experience. Once you have those two things down, now you have the magic sauce for being able to intentionally co-create. You are creating all the time, all the time. There is not a clock that you are clocking in and out of and saying, okay, now I'm not going to be creating. Now I'm not going to be manifesting. I'll clock in tomorrow when I'm in a better mood, when I'm in a better space, after I've had my meditation, after I've, taken my deep breaths, then I'll manifest. That's not the way that it works. You are manifesting all the time. And the way that you are manifesting is you are offering an energetic vibration. You are offering energy, and the things that match that energy are going to be drawn into your experience. Now, the way that this was ideally designed to work is that if I am being my true authentic self, if I am living from my intuition, if I am living the way that I was designed to live, focused on what lights me up, focused on what gets me excited, focused on the thing that I can't get enough of, then what is going to happen is I'm going to be focusing on that thing. I'm going to be aligning my beliefs with that thing. I'm going to be programming my brain and my mind with all of that knowledge that I'm going to be turning into wisdom. And because I'm focused on what it is that lights me up, and because I'm investing my time in what wants to light me up, because I'm thinking about the thing that's lighting me up, the thought, the focus, it's where it needs to be able to pull more of that thing into my experience. So if we were living our true authentic lives, we would be co-creating and manifesting all the things that are in alignment with who we were designed to be. But when we are doing the opposite, when we are thinking from a mind that is not ours, it's been programmed by religion and by parents and by social media and by fear and by all of those things, and I'm not being truly authentic to what my body wants and where my body is feeling led, but instead I'm just a victim to my emotions, I'm a prisoner to the things that I'm feeling. What is my focus on? What am I spending my time thinking about? Is the things that I don't enjoy, and therefore I co-create and manifest more of those things that I do not enjoy back into my life. What's crazy is that the reason why the majority of people are living the same day over and over and over and over again is because what they are focused on is what they are currently experiencing instead of what they wish to be experiencing. And what they believe is around the corner is more of what they already see instead of what they want to see. And so they are literally manifesting the same day over and over and over again. In order for us to manifest a different day, the beliefs and the focus have to change. But in order for the belief and the focus to truly change, you have to break out of the mind and the body. You have to get back in your seat as the one who is in control. You have to get back into the role of the master. You are the steward of these things. Your job is to take care of the mind and the body. Your job is to use those tools the way that they were designed, not to become a victim of those tools. And so this is what we teach inside of this up-level course. And so this is the material that I created for these people that were at my ball. They said, can we sit down? I said, sure. So I mapped this all out and I came up with these these processes that I do, these things that I noticed that I was doing inside of my life that were very effective and efficient at reprogramming my mind and shifting my focus onto what it was that I wanted. And I started to teach those things. And the craziest thing happened. What I was doing to move into alignment and create the life that I wanted, I started noticing other people were capable of doing that too. It wasn't just for me. This wasn't some like secret that I had that only worked for me. It worked for everybody. People started taking this up level course and they were changing their lives, and they were manifesting things that they wanted into their lives. They started noticing that if they changed what they focused on and they started to change their belief into something higher, they started manifesting and co-creating things that were in alignment with them, things that were higher. Tons of people going from working for somebody else to working for themselves, going from being single or in relationships that they weren't happy in to being in relationships that were fulfilling, whether it was the same partner or not. Changing friends, showing up differently as parenting. I mean, these stories were just flooding in and flooding in and flooding in. And I'm like, okay, there's something here. And they notice there's something here. What do we do when something is working and something is exciting? We share it. So now instead of me sharing it at the ball, I had all of these people who were in my class sharing it at the ball and going out and sharing with their friends. So what ended up happening was Up Level went from this like just this like pastime where I was just sharing with people to now I'm teaching it twice a week to now I'm teaching 2 classes simultaneously. Now there's COVID. Now we're doing online. Now we're doing group classes. Now we're doing 30-day containers. I mean, we did retreats, up level retreats where for the whole weekend we were pulling people away and learning this material. For 6 years, I've taught this material. And I have seen it not only change my life, but change the lives of the people who were taking it. Breaking free from mental anguish, breaking free from emotional anguish, breaking free from things that limited them, from toxic relationships to trauma to medications that they thought they needed just to function. And creating lives that are worth living, that get us excited and going in the morning instead of, oh, I got to do this again. It doesn't matter where people were when they entered Up Level, they got something from it. Because no matter where you're at, no matter how imprisoned you are to your body and your mind, once you realize how to break free of them and to step into your own authority, into your own authentic, true self, I swear to God, everything starts lining up because that's the way that the energetic world was designed to support you. You're not alone. You're not abandoned. You weren't left and you're not a victim. Everything was designed to support you. The only thing getting in your way is you. And you don't even realize it. We don't even realize it. So this class is about exposing it. It's about showing people things that they didn't realize about their emotions and about their thoughts, and how to teach them how to use the power of the mind and the power of their body and their emotions and their nervous system and everything that we were granted as gifts, to use them as the actual gifts that they are, to start changing the experience that we're having. And so this class is an 8-week course. Okay, we meet twice a week for 8 weeks. There was homework in this class. There was reading in this class. There was implementation in this class. There was a lot of hand holding in this class. So very grateful for all of your teachings. Thank you, Trisha. Trisha did my Up Level class in a retreat form, and now she's working with me one-on-one. And most recently, I started working with her 10-year-old daughter, because she sees the power of what happens when we start to implement these things. And so this class teaches that. For 16 classes, for 8 weeks, I'm going to be guiding people on doing this work the same way that I have for the last 6 years, but this is special. Because what we are doing is, I built this class in 2018. It's now 2024, 6 years. For 6 years, I have implemented what it is that I teach. For 6 years, I have seen the evidence that you can literally create any life that you want through discipline of your mind and discipline of your body. And during that 6 years, I have experienced some crazy things, some heartbreaking things, some mind-blowing things, miracles that just do not make sense For those of you guys that have been following me, you've seen this stuff. Hi, Iman. I just noticed you're on. And I have so much more to share. I have so much more to lay out and say, since creating Up Level, there's so much. I mean, guys, you think you're there and there's so much more. And then you see it and then there's so much more. And then you see it and there's so much more. Because what you're doing is, instead of just having this small little perspective of all I can see is me and all I can see is my pain and all I can see is my trauma and all I can see is my childhood and all I can see is the shit that I've manifested into my life. And you start to raise your frequency. You start to shift your perspective. You start to lift your head up. And then as you move up, your perspective starts to change. And you start to see that you are not the only thing on this planet, that you are a part of a community. And how you show up energetically, it impacts your community. It impacts your family. It impacts the people you work with. It impacts your partner. And so as you start to expand and you start to see, not only am I important, I have an impact on those people around me far greater than I could ever imagine. And as you start scooting up and this vision gets bigger and this vision gets bigger, I am telling you, there is no end to the ascension of your point of view. Because where does it go? We can't even see the ending. We don't even know where the universe ends because it is so massive. And by the way, it's continuing to expand every single day. I took Up Level in June, 6 months after starting my business, and my first five-figure months of earning. Let me go back to that. My first 5-figure months of earning, and 2 months later, I met David, who became my husband, and then had a dream baby. Yes! So this is my sister. My sister has been in my world forever. And I was telling her about Up Level, and I was telling her about Up Level, and I'm telling her about all the things that are changing in people's lives, and she's seeing the changes that are happening in my life. And so my sister did something incredible and amazing. My sister is one of the most supportive people ever. And life has a funny way of, when we get on track with our mission and our purpose, things are going to get in the way. Things are going to try and distract us. Things are going to try and pull us in other avenues. And I was getting sort of lost in that. I knew that I loved Up Level and I knew that I loved this work, but I also loved my brick and mortar buildings. But something in my gut was saying, leave the brick and mortar buildings behind and move into this direction. But I had spent so many years building the brick and mortars. And I had manifested these beautiful buildings. So surely Source wanted me to have them. And there's so many beautiful things coming out of these brick and mortars. And it's how I pay my bills. Right? So I was in this moment of like, I know I'm being called to do this, but this is working for me here. And one of the things that you're going to be asked to do on this journey is to give up the good things for the great things. To give up the thing that you think you're getting satisfaction out of, to really step into your purpose and mission, because the satisfaction that you can feel, the bliss that you can feel, the joy that you can feel, you don't even know. You don't even have any understanding of how amazing it can feel. And so sometimes you have to give up the good to make room for the great. And my sister had asked me, she goes, if you could do anything, what would you do? This was a couple of years ago. And I said, I would teach Up Level retreat style. I would like put all of my focus in Up Level. I would take one-on-one clients in. I would teach more classes. I would teach on more of the things that I've learned in the last 6 years by implementing Up Level. She's like, then do it. Oh, but I don't know. It's a lot of money. And what if nobody signs up? We all face these things. I wasn't manifesting that life yet because my focus and my beliefs were on what I didn't want instead of what I did want. Instead of my focus and my beliefs being on anything is possible. Look at the evidence that you can change careers. Look at the evidence that when you take a risk, greater things come. Look at the evidence that you are supported and loved. Look at the evidence that Source has your back. Look at the evidence. Instead of doing that, I was looking at the evidence that my mind was giving me, which said, this is scary and it may not work, and there's people who fail and you could lose money. And Melissa swooped in and said, nope, 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 nope. What are you doing? Think about what you want. What is it that you want? I want to do this retreat. Okay, let's do it. So she fronted the money for the retreat. We sold tickets. I ended up being able to pay her back. The retreat was fucking phenomenal. Now we've gone on to have more retreats. I think we just did our third or fourth retreat. More retreats came from that shift in focus and belief. And this is what's so powerful about having this community is we are human. And our brains have been conditioned for 30 something years, some of us 40 years, some of us 50 years. So it's not going to reframe overnight. We have to have the support of our community to, give us a little nudge every once in a while and say, hey, you're tuning into a low vibrational frequency right now. You're tuning into a station I know you don't want to be listening to. Come on, tune into a higher frequency. That's what up level is all about. It's about up leveling your emotions and your mindset. And so Melissa saw me doing this and was like, you know what, I'm going to come out and support you. And at the time, if I'm 100% honest, and Melissa can speak for herself, but I don't think she thought she needed what I taught. I think she thought she was doing pretty good on her own journey. She was doing her own work. But then she came to the class and she heard it. What's so freaking amazing, I love this idea of like researching other things that I believe my creator has created. I'm an artist. I'm a painter. There's a signature stroke that every painter has. There are people who can literally, they've been trained to look at a piece of art and be like, that piece of art belongs to this artist because I recognize their stroke. I recognize what it looks like when they create things. They leave little hints of evidence that it was them that was there. I believe creator does that. Whoever you believe our creator does, I believe our creator does that. There are going to be synchronicities in what it creates because all of those creations came from the same inspiration. And so I started to look at things that reminded me of the law of attraction when I was learning. And one of the things that reminded me of law of attraction was magnets. Did you know that there were a few ways that a piece of metal can become magnetic? The first way is trauma, for it to be to be beat out of it. And what's happening is, I forget what they're called, but there's like these little things, these particles that bounce around inside of the metal. And as it gets beaten over and over and over and over again, these little particles that are shooting in many different ways, bing, they start to align. Weird. Beaten into alignment. How many of us have been beaten into alignment? And that alignment starts to happen. And when that alignment starts to happen, it creates polarity. And when the polarity is there, it creates a positive and a negative, and it's able to attract. Now, there's a second way that metal can become magnetic. And that way is if you take a really strong magnet, meaning if you take a piece of metal where everything is already in alignment, and you take a second piece of metal that is not magnetic with all the little particles flying everywhere, and you put it in the vicinity of the magnet, do you know what happens? This piece of metal will start to align and become magnetic. So there are two ways for us to move into alignment. We can either get the shit kicked out of us, trigger after trigger after trigger after trauma after trauma after trauma, and keep rising up and rising up and rising up. And each thing is pushing us further into alignment. Oh, you're not meant to be at this job? Let me fucking get you fired. How many of us see that as moving in alignment? How many of us is seeing that as, oh my gosh, I know I hated this job and I've been talking crap about it, and I know I haven't been wanting to come here, but I can't believe they fired me. Woe's me. Why is this happening to me? As opposed to seeing that we are being pushed into alignment and to see it for the gift that it is. But that's one way to do it. Or we can choose to be in a container with someone who's already doing the work, because just by being in their presence, things will shift. My sister just being in the up level experience, I think things started to shift for her. There was things that she started to hear. They were different than what she had already been experiencing. Just being in my energy started to shift, started to move some things. She leaves and boom, 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 boom. 5-figure months, leaves a toxic relationship that she's in, finds the love of her life, has a miracle baby, which, by the way, she had that miracle baby 3 months after I had my miracle baby. I was diagnosed infertile in 2021 after 5 miscarriages, and said that what I had destroyed my tubes. I'd never be pregnant again. I did a healing retreat, and I purposely said, I deny this belief. I deny what you're telling me. I will focus and believe what I choose to focus and believe, what I want to pull into my existence, regardless of how many opinions told me, there was 2 doctors that told me, specialists that told me, there's no way. And at the retreat, I conceived a miracle baby. So it's like, we start to see that maybe the way that we were told the world works is not actually true. Maybe we have a stream of well-being pouring to us all the time. Maybe we can heal our own bodies. Maybe we can create anything we desire. Maybe we can pull in the experiences and the businesses and the clients and the relationships and the friendship and the children that we want, regardless of what society is telling us is possible or not. So let me see. I see some comments coming through. Absolutely insane. Trust and feel the process. Oh my gosh, I did that the other night. Well, half of it, I got a huge headache. Yay, aging. You are young. You have this. Okay, grateful for all of your teachings. I took up level. Oh, we already read that. Thank you. I will watch the ending. I have a coaching client and an Akashic reading in 8 minutes. I'm so happy that you're doing that, Penny. I'm excited to watch the ending. Hugs, you amazing retreats. I have one in Costa Rica in September. Yes. So many beautiful things going on inside of this community. What we are doing is we are going to do one last up level live. One, that's it. And then we are retiring up level to be a pre-recorded course only. I am so passionate about what I teach in up level, and that it was the foundation that set me up for success, that moving forward, everybody that works with me one-on-one will need to take up level before I will even entertain the idea of coaching them. That's how much I believe in this foundational stuff. But what that means is that there's only one more opportunity for people to take up level live. That just hit me. Thank you, Laura, for taking that off of me. Only one more chance. And what I love about it being live is you get the hand holding, right? Like I'm there, not only teaching you live, but to be able to, in the moment, coach you. So that when you say, I grasp this concept, Sarah, but what does this look like in real life? I understand what you're saying, but my husband is pissing me off and he's triggering me and I feel this thing happening. What do I need to do? And so what I can do is I can be there in that moment to help coach you through, to help walk you through the same way my sister did, to help poke you in, in the side and say, hey, that's not what we're doing. Remember, I know that it's easy for you to go back to your old habitual ways of doing things, but we're doing things differently. And I get to poke you and help you because my goal is for you to leave up level actually implementing what you learned. This is about wisdom, not knowledge. Wisdom, not knowledge. If 1,000 people hear what I have to say, but none of them implement it, I failed. This is about implementing and actually changing your life. So the live it's undeniably valuable because you get to be there live. So this is crazy. I want to be part of the energy. Woo, woo, woo. I'm so excited, Anita. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing. Live is so different than pre-recorded classes. Have I experienced that with your sister? Absolutely. It's just different. It's just different. There's an energy that gets transmuted that's just different. And what do we just learn about magnets? Just being around my energy can change you. I swear to God, I've experienced this with other people. And it's like, man, our energy is so powerful. It's so powerful. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing. Abigail is actually going to be dropping some links here for us. She's going to be dropping a link where you guys can give me feedback on what it is that we talked today. How are you feeling about what you just learned? This is going to be a chance for you to give a little testimony. Thank you, Beyond Impactful. I appreciate you, Judy. Please click on that link and give a little testimonial about your thoughts and experience today with this class. And then she's going to be dropping a link for you to register for the up level course, the live course. This live course is going to be 16 live classes of me teaching content. So 16 hours at least of live content. It is also going to have the opportunity to have live coaching sessions, whether you are actively in the live class or after the fact, meaning maybe you watch a recording of week 2 and then you have some questions that you want to ask me. I love jumping on video with people live and coaching them live so everybody gets a chance to experience it, because I guarantee you what you're experiencing, somebody else is as well, and they will find it valuable. So we're going to have coaching, implementation coaching live. We're going to have a community of people that you get to support each other and learn from each other. This is going to be 8 weeks total, so 56 days in my energy. Okay, this class is going to be sold once it is recorded. This class is going to be sold for $777 for a 2-month course. If you guys want to do it, I am offering a $700 off code. $700 off of a $777 course. You will literally have it cheaper than anybody has ever had up level ever before. And I'm doing this for 2 reasons. One, I know, right, Anita? Like, what? One is I am so fucking convinced that this recording is going to make me $1 million. I know that people around the world need what it is that I am teaching inside of this course. Just the emotional piece alone is worth it. Like, literally just the emotional piece alone. To go from being constantly feeling like you're a victim to your emotional wave, to being in control of your emotions and realizing that you can unattach them and you can live a wonderful life regardless of what is going on around you, just that piece alone is worth it. And I know people are going to spread this. I know it is going to go all over the world. I know that I'm going to be reaping the benefits financially of this course. So that is why I'm offering it at $77, because I want anybody and everybody that feels called to be in this live to have the opportunity to be there. I know I'm going to be taken care of on the back end. $77 for 2 months of work doesn't seem like a lot, but I'm trusting that there are people who are going to come, who are going to need this, and this is going to change lives, and this is going to bring reviews, and this is going to bring impact, and this is going to bring experiences, and it is all going to be worth it. You will have 2 days. Does April end on 31? $31. You will have 2 days. Oh, 30, my bad. April is 30. We will give you until May 1st. Hello. We will give you until May 1st to purchase this if you want to purchase this at $77. 2 days, it's going to go for $77. After the 2 days, it is going to go up to $777. I need to stay committed to that. Because what you embody, you attract. If I embody being true to my word, guess who I attract? Is clients who are true to the word. And that is what I'm looking for. So if you feel called to be in this class with us, if you feel called to be with me for 2 months, we are going to get the details out. I apologize. We do not have the dates that we are actually starting the 8 weeks and ending the 8 weeks. We are still trying to work on the details of that. But you will, as long as you purchase it within the next 2 days, you will have access to that for $77 and can listen to the replays for as long as you want. Does anybody have any questions? Lifetime access. Yes, lifetime access. I have a client who is doing another program with me right now. So she's like, I feel like it would be too much to jump into up level. She's a one-on-one client with me. And I was like, okay, buy it now because it's lifetime access. The option, if you don't join live, is to buy the pre-recorded version. You get the pre-recorded version now for $77, or you can buy it later for $777. You might as well get it now. If at any point in your life you think that you can benefit from this class, get it, because you will have it for lifetime. I'm signing up now, yay! Make sure you guys use the code LASTLIVE, all caps, LASTLIVE, and that's gonna get you the $700 off. I'm 100% in. I'm so excited, Laura. I can't wait to have you. I'm excited for Laura to be in it because Laura's in another program right now that's absolutely amazing, and she's going to be bringing all that energy in. I'm signing up. I'm in. Please click the link right now. Okay, perfect. Any other questions that you guys have that I can answer? I signed up. Yay. Oh my God, Amy, I've been waiting for you to take this with me. Okay, so let's see. Yes, and if you found any value in tonight, regardless of whether you take up level or not, If you found any value in what I shared today, please do me a favor and click that link. Leave the little bit of your testimonial so that we can, other people can hear. Oh, Anita signed up. Great. Okay, so other people can hear what it is that's in your testimonial, and that helps to bring the right people into this container. I'm in it too now. Yay! I'm so excited, guys. I'm so excited. Okay, so let me know if you guys have any questions. You guys are free to reach out to me. For those of you guys that are not friends with me on Facebook, please feel free to add me if you're a woman. I'm sorry I don't add men to my personal, but I will be adding men to my professional, so we can do that as well. We are going, just being your friend has changed my life. Okay, well, on that note, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I cannot wait to see you guys. If you guys get registered for the up-level class, you guys will be receiving email details with how to get that set up. And we're also going to be putting you guys into a private community so that we can start to rally and start to create energy and momentum around this class. So I'm really excited. Thank you for changing my life. I appreciate you, Judy. Tracy, I'm excited that you were in. I can't wait as well. So love you guys. Have a great night.